Are you aware that in 2015 alone, there were 106 visas granted to Russians for investing in the United States in amounts of money of $500,000 or more? They're called EB-5 visas.
I'm unaware of that.
So as a general rule within the CIA, you did not investigate those who were granted EB-5 visas?
It may have come across our screen. We may have intelligence on it. I'm just not personally aware of a lot of the information that the CIA had collected.
So in 2014, the United States, the European Union, and Canada imposed sanctions on Russia in response to their invasion of Ukraine and Crimea. These sanctions greatly restricted the flow of private money to the Russian government and business leaders. How much pain do you think those sanctions have caused Russia?
I think it has been increasingly painful, and I believe that one of Mr. Putin's priorities has been, especially over the last year, to try to get those sanctions reduced. And his strategy is getting European countries to separate from the U.S.-led sanction effort. And that's why I think as part of this effort, they were trying to drive a wedge between Europe and Washington. And some of the unfavorable characterizations of Secretary Clinton indicated that she was an unreliable leader and that there were going to be problems for Europe. So I think that's part of a broader Russian strategy. Again, I think that Mr. Putin wants sanctions removed sooner rather than later.
So that's, you would say that's one of his top, if not very top, policy objectives in dealing with the United States.
It's certainly it's a key one, but it's more dealing with us indirectly by trying to wean the European nations off of the sanctions wagon.
So Igor Sechin, who was the CEO of Rosneft, and then Rex Tillerson, the CEO of ExxonMobil, were doing a deal in Russia that was about $1 billion, I believe. The sanctions that were imposed in 2014 shut that down. Is that correct?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
So, again, it would make the case that the impacts on Russia are grave in terms of the sanctions. Let me ask you another question. There have been reports in newspapers that British and Dutch intelligence had provided information about meetings in European cities between Russian officials associated with President Putin and associates of the Trump campaign. Is that how you first found out about those meetings?
I am not going to talk about anything that any of our international partners might have shared with us.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back.